Hi everyone, it's Dom from the msguide.com, and we're joined by a very special guest today because she is an incredible expert in the foot, and I'm going to let her explain a bit more about it. But more importantly, like you, like me, she's got MS and she's also on Ocrevus. So today we're going to talk to Ailsa Baumgartner. She's in Wales and she has an awful lot of experience to the point where she's doing a PhD about MS and feet.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you for inviting me to be on your lovely channel. Yes, I am a qualified podiatrist. I was working in the NHS, I was working privately, and then the dreaded MS hit. Lost feeling in my hands and my arms. I couldn't function, couldn't coordinate, so I couldn't do my job. So now, 3 years later, I'm doing my PhD. I can use my hands, which is good. My brain, well, you know, as we all know, that functions when it wants to. So, and as people with MS, we, you know, feet are very important to us, whether we can feel them or not. But the foot health in general is something that I think is often missed by our neurology teams, and you know, anything that can't be referred to a physiotherapist or a speech and language therapist, and possibly could be referred to a podiatrist if you have that option.
So why do you think that is? Because it's like nothing from the knee down exists, and that's can't be right.
No, well, obviously not. And, you know, for my profession, it's a very important part of the body. But, you know, foot health, we should all be checking our feet, whether we're healthy subjects or whether we have chronic diseases, acute diseases. We should all be checking our feet. If we can't physically check them, we should get somebody else to do that for us. You should think about foot hygiene, washing feet, making sure that they're moisturized. I mean, any moisturizer is better than no moisturizer on your feet, but particularly if you could get one with the urea in it, that's the best. That will keep down the hard skin. That could then, you know, if you've got hard skin, it can turn into a corn, which can be, you know, really quite painful. But keep moisturizing, and you can maybe keep, you know, the chance of that turning into a corn down, or getting hard callus or fissures or things in your heels.
I have this incredible thing my wife bought for me, and it's essentially sandpaper, and I have to sand the edges of my heels regularly. Is that the wrong thing to do, or the right thing to do, or?
Not the wrong thing to do, but if you were to use a urea-based cream, it would prevent that. But I know you do a lot of walking, you do a lot of exercise, there's a lot of pressure on your feet. What you have to be careful of if you're doing your own filing on your feet, because if you have a neuropathy and you can't feel, and you tend to, you know, some people get a little bit overzealous when they get the Black & Decker out on their feet.
May have done that in the past. It gets a bit tender.
Yeah, when you get down to red or blood, you definitely need to stop. But I was given this at a conference the other day. You can check your feet with one of, imagine you're checking for a bomb underneath your car.
That's just what I thought that was for, looking for a bomb.
And you can extend it, and you can look under your feet and check for anything that looks not right, anything that you think is in your feet, or just corns, dry skin, that type of thing. If you can't get somebody else to do it, you can't get down there yourself, get yourself a little mirror. I'm sure they're on eBay and on Amazon and places like that. I was lucky enough to get given this, but very handy. You know, if I was in the NHS now working with diabetic patients, and I would say, and they couldn't get down to their feet, get a little mirror and just check to see that everything's okay.
Right. Okay. So I mean, we were talking before, and you've just said, you know, the foot health of people with MS is broadly overlooked as part of the whole management of it. And it can be really, really dangerous when you don't have feeling in your feet and something happens to them, and then you merrily walking away, should we say, but you're actually making it worse. So this is the importance of examining your feet. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, peripheral neuropathy is very common in people with diabetes.
So what's peripheral neuropathy for those of us?
Peripheral means away, the ends of the body, the hands,
Right.
the feet. And
Okay.
neuropathy is kind of a general term for when you have pain, you have abnormal sensation in your feet or your legs or your hands. You can have the pins and needles, the burning, the feeling like things are on fire, the electric shocks, basically the numbness. And that is all associated with not just our disease, but people who have arterial diseases, diabetes, like I mentioned, other neurological conditions.
Right.
And it's due the myelin damage that's associated with our disease, so that basically you either have mixed signals going down to your feet, or you have no signal going down there at all, which is generally the feeling of I can't feel anything, which was one of my early symptoms, where I literally, from my knee down, I could not feel anything. It just felt that I was, when you're in that stage of pins and needles, you're coming out of pins and needles and your legs are really heavy. And that was one of my symptoms. I literally couldn't feel.
Right. So when I have my neurology exam about once a year, I'm often lying on the table and they'll be using a tuning fork and holding it against bits of my toe and saying, can you feel that? But also there's something where it looks like a compass that we used to stab each other with at school instead of doing proper work. And is the aim to see how far apart it is before you can recognize that there's 2 points? Is that what they're trying to work out?
Yeah. Well, it all depends. Some will test with what's called a monofilament. It's just a tiny little wire that comes out of a little plastic handle, and there will be certain points on the foot that they will press to see if you can recognize that. It's not just our disease that's checked for that. Like I say, diabetic patients will have a yearly check, and they'll have the tuning fork placed here, and they'll have the monofilament, basically to see if our body recognizes that feeling, that pokey feeling in your feet. For me, I don't always get it. I mean, I know where they're going to put it, so I try not to go yes, 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 but I don't always feel it. So, and that's basically for them to get the perception of, what's going on with your nerves.
I remember the first time I couldn't feel something. It was really alarming. It was the tiniest thing. And I just thought, oh no, I can't feel it. Because you could see them prodding it and you're thinking, nope, definitely can't feel it. But it was, I mean, this is what made me think about feet and MS. Then we were chatting on Twitter. You do all the podiatry stuff. And I thought, bingo, we're going to speak to somebody with MS who knows about this. But if you were going to sum up for people, probably 2 lots of things, First, would you give, I don't know, say 3 tips that we can do ourselves or should do ourselves, and maybe 3 things to ask our MS team, to empower people to say to the MS team, what about A, B, or C? Let's do with the personal ones first. What things would you recommend we do personally?
First, okay, like I say, check your feet. And if you can't check it yourself, get somebody else, get the little mirror, just to make sure that underneath the foot there's nothing in there, stuck in there, no ulceration. Because if we can't feel our feet, our foot function is going to be abnormal. Because our feet they'll overcompensate, because we don't know what we're doing with them. They will overcompensate and put themselves in funny positions to make sure that they're standing correctly, they're moving correctly. Use a cream on your feet for dry skin. And it's not just because we're not moisturizing. Some people may have endocrine disorders, or they may, within diabetes, ladies over a certain age. I say that very lightly because I will also be there. People with thyroid conditions, that will dry out the skin. I have very cold feet. And that's not always great when you can't feel your feet. And things I would not recommend, even though I have to say I love my own, hot water bottles. Hot water bottles on the feet, or beds beside radiators when you can't feel possibly, any part of your leg or your feet, not good. I have seen some horrific things of people where they've burnt their feet, burnt their legs. People have burnt their arms as well, that type of thing.
So check your feet, use a urea-based moisturizer, and be really, really careful about hot water bottles, radiators, because it's natural. My feet are freezing and I want to stick them on something hot. Yeah.
And also
You can hurt yourself.
Yeah. Also getting into the bath, or if you want to soak your feet, do it like if you got a child or a baby, do a test, do an elbow test, do a, I've always got cold hands, so my hands are no good to check things.
Warm heart, cold hands.
Yeah,
warm heart.
I know. But just to make sure that, you're doing the right thing, but just make sure that, you're not putting, the water's not too hot, that type of thing.
So if you were going to give patients 3 takeaways that they could take to their MS team to bring up, that's all about their feet, because you said it rarely gets looked at. What 3 things would you think a patient with MS like you and me ought to do?
I would say one of the main things that comes up with MS, feet and MS, is the whole abnormal sensation, and the ways to treat that. And I know medication, medications love to give it out.
Everybody wants a magic pill for
Everybody
everything.
wants a pill to sort things out, but there are ways of trying to help neuropathy and abnormal sensations and cold feet and hot feet without having to resort to give me a tablet for my my foot neuropathy and all these different feelings. Ask them if there are ways that they can deal with them.
This is fascinating, and I really appreciate you coming on. But knowing that you do a PhD in this, it means that you know so much that probably wouldn't cross our minds remotely. But let me ask it like this then. Is it worth saying to them, and what about my feet?
Always. Right. As a podiatrist, I'm going to say that, but it's overlooked. And like I said to you earlier, when I go to my neuro team, my feet, anything below my knee is never mentioned until I say, my feet are fine, thank you. I'm looking after them myself. And they know what I'm qualified to do, and they
you scare them.
But this is what I said to you earlier. If you look at nice guidelines for the management and the rehabilitation of people with MS, and you go through the algorithm and you go through all the boxes, podiatry is not there. Physiotherapy is there, speech and language therapy are there, podiatry is not there. And I do think, not just because it's my profession, that they are missing a trick there, because there is so much that podiatry can do. In MS, people with MS do get vascular problems as well, because, possibly if you can't move around, if you are in a chair, or you have to have walking aids when you walk, your circulation going down to your feet, it's not going to be the best. And that's why when you're with your neuro team, and if you have, you do have issues with mobility that are quite severe, you need to make sure. I mean, you should say to them, oh, could you get a Doppler? Could you test the circulation in my feet? I'd like to hear how I'd like to hear my pulse down in my foot, and ask them to get out the Doppler and check the pulses of the foot.
So the Doppler is an instrument which reads the blood flow, doesn't it?
It is. And also, if any of your viewers have had babies, they will have had the Doppler, to listen to the baby's heartbeat on their bellies.
Hey, even us dads who sat there and watched it happen. So
yeah. I mean, it's bread and butter in podiatry now, because when you get a new patient in, you check the pulses. You check the pulses on the foot, because, and a lot of times we pick up atrial fibrillation in the through the foot that they don't know about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ailsa, this is sorry. We're going to go off into cardiology now, aren't we? So
yeah.
Ailsa, look, I really appreciate the effort you've made to come on. Can I ask you one thing? Because I always ask people, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. But if anything comes up that I don't know, that I can't easily find the answer for, would you mind if I came back to you to ask you specific questions?
Not at all. You go ahead.
That's brilliant. Okay, well, hey guys, if you want to comment and ask questions, you got the expert right in front of you here. So it's and I'll badger her to come back on. But until then, thank you so much for coming on the MS Guide. It's crucial that us patients help one another. And I think you've done a really great thing today. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks. Take care.